This maggot remains, Lord Draco.
Grandfather Neville, protect your son!
A pitiful end awaits those who serve chaos. Perhaps it is time to deploy more proactive tactics.
What is up, everybody? I am your Legendary Commander, and today I'm going to show you how to get a Grandmaster Legendary win. Now, this is no easy task. Legendary is already hard on its own, and Grandmaster mode makes it that much worse. To be honest, I don't know why you'd even want to do this, because it really does nothing for you other than just to say that you beat it on Legendary Grandmaster mode. It did take me about 80 hours in this state to beat the game. I had a couple restarts, eventually figuring this is the only way to play the game. Now, to not keep talking, the short answer is Alt F4, and I'm not saying quit the game and never play it again. Alt F4 in the middle of combat. Chaos Gate has a very interesting method of how it saves, and when you put it in Grandmaster mode, the game saves at the beginning of each turn. You may notice if your game randomly crashes, you start back at the beginning of your turn. This is what tipped me off to this trick. Now, be forewarned, if you hit escape and try to load the game, it will save immediately to stop you. I am not sure if it's just because you hit escape or the load button, but best practice is to not hit that button until you're ready to go to bed at night. So what you'll be doing actually is changing the nature of the game. You're going to be taking control of random chance. You're going to be changing warp surges, whether or not you crit, or whether or not you get an extra action point. So once you deploy a mission, you are stuck with what you brought. If you decide you don't like a certain soldier, you can't swap it out. You can't change weapons if you forgot a good sword. All that is left on the ship. You can't go back for it. Now here we accidentally activated an enemy squad. Now let's just say we didn't want to activate this squad right away. Well, we Alt F4. Something to take note of when you're on mission, I've noticed that it takes a little longer to load the mission if you consistently Alt F4 until you get a decent result. You also may notice I started back to the beginning of the mission. This is because I was at the beginning of the mission. Alt F4 does not put you at the beginning of the mission, just the turn. So whatever you were doing in a 5-6 turn slugfest, if you're on turn 5 of that slugfest, you will be back at turn 5, not the beginning of the mission, getting to re-engage or having to re-engage. Another slick trick, and you don't actually have to hit the load game and load the game over, but you can hit escape and go to load game, and the game will save. So if you get a good critical that you want to keep,
What is your will?
hit escape and hit load game, and it will save it right there. Now, something else you need to take note of is that you can string your entire mission down to one turn, which means you could accidentally have to do it all again. When the game transitions from combat to non-combat or non-combat to combat, you get 3 action points back. It refreshes your Marines. It also considers it part of the same turn. So if you ran up to the enemy and burned off some of your action points, all your Marines will get those points back, and it's still considered turn 1 of that engagement. If you finish that engagement rather quickly and don't have to go into another turn to finish them off, you'll get another 3 action points, or you'll always get that 3, but it will be considered again on the same turn. If you start another fight, it will repeat the process again. So be careful not to string all of your engagements into one big round. You either need an extra round of combat or an extra round of no combat to lock the game into a save. So everything is random. The game reacts differently. Enemies coming through warp portals, anything. When you engage an enemy, it's different every time. The only thing that will stay the same is an enemy patrol if you keep activating them the same way. The game reacts different if a Marine is one step more forward than it was last time, or if a different Marine activates them. It reacts to you. This is one of the only non-random bits of the game. Everything else is random. A warp portal may drop different Marines each time. A warp surge may disable your teleport. It may give enemies 50% less chance to be critted, or it may take 1 willpower from you. So this is something that you can change throughout your gameplay if it's going to be a big problem. One that might end an 80-hour game session at the very end of the game. So yes, this is kind of cherry-picking your results and changing the nature of the game. Does it make it hard? Oh yes, the game is still very hard. And I don't use this tactic consistently. I only use it when I feel it's absolutely necessary to win. I have used this trick with very poor warp surges occurring and keeping those results and walked away barely alive. So unless you're cherry picking the whole thing, this game can get very difficult. You pick what you're willing to live with. So looking at this combat, we can see it's not going rather well. And we can undo a lot of that, but I'm going to play this out first and see what it looks like. And we see here what the enemy does. It says enemy's turn. You can still Alt F4 here because your turn isn't up yet. It's not until the enemy stops moving that your turn is up. So you can always roll back the turn if you lose a Marine or something very, very bad happens. For example, you meant to shoot an enemy, but instead your Marine runs towards the enemy, or your Marine shoots an enemy when he was supposed to run towards it and finish the job, wasting the last action point that would have ended combat, and now your Marines die because they didn't have the health to survive another round. So now looking back at the game, you can see as we engage the enemy again, they react differently, in a different pattern than they were before. This and who the enemy shoots, depending on how you change yourself, are the only things that this game ever changes in combat. If you repeat the exact same process, the game will always do exactly what it did last time. That said, you'll probably not do something exactly like you did it last time, so you'll never see the exact same result. However, make those compensations when you need to. When playing this game on Grandmaster and Legendary at the same time, it's like playing Russian roulette. You're just waiting for the gun to go off. And in saying that, I think that's where I'm going to call this video. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something. I hope it will allow you to have the same experience I had, if not a better one, because this is a really, really good game. But like I said, that's going to be it for this video. Y'all take care. Make sure to tell your friends. But I will catch you next time.
Let them go, let them go. We must be patient. I have a great many plans for you.